If we were newly elected members of Congress, the first issue we would prioritize would be the effect of social media on politics. The issues the media causes can be detrimental to the future of politics.
In the future, it is anticipated that the internet will have a substantial impact on a variety of facets of our life. With the use of internet technology, people can already access a wealth of information on practically any subject imaginable, connect with people who share their interests to have meaningful conversations, and share their knowledge with others at a low cost. The internet may also have a growing yet unpredicted impact on how political organizations and people reach out to the public with their messages. It may also significantly alter how citizens engage in the political process. What is the impact of the mobile media on political participation, and how does this impact affect our elections today?
Okay. So mobile media specifically is very powerful because what it's done is that in our democracy, especially not even in just in democratic societies or countries, but even in those out that are not democratic, it's given people access to the tools of engagement, how to be more civically engaged, how to be more politically active, how to make how to get your message across, how to connect with people. We've seen this not just in the United States and how people are able to mobilize. And I think maybe you have younger people today, Generation Z, as they're called, and younger are, they're very good at being able to engage and meet with other people and connect with other people through online forums. So mobile media has been very good about connecting people, and it's broken down this barrier where at one point in time, 40, I mean, even 35 years ago, you had only, politics was very much was seen as something that's for a specific group of people. And it was harder to get people together. It was harder to mobilize people for campaigns, for things like that. But it's actually easier today because of mobile media.
The result of the media varies between and within authoritarian and democratic governments and is primarily influenced by three political actors: the domestic opposition, outside influences, and the ruling regime. There are four possible consequences that social media can have depending on how these three members utilize it: the state's capability and the type of political regime in place. Strong democratic regimes may be weakened, strong authoritarian regimes may be intensified, weak democratic regimes may be radicalized, and weak authoritarian regimes may be destabilized.
There are several different strategies that US policymakers could employ to lessen the consequences of social media sites and to protect citizens' rights to freedom of expression based on trustworthy, pluralistic, and impartial information.
Disorder. What are some of the common ways that all of us in our everyday lives encounter information disorder?
Well, unfortunately, we all see it in a lot of places. If you're on social media, whether it's Twitter or YouTube or Facebook or what have you, you are going to encounter, you see the polarization that is happening across this country. And unfortunately, that's mixed in with a lot of just false information, whether intentional or not.
Information being circulated on social media can have a great impact on who our leaders are. For example, look at the 2016 presidential election. People might remark on a candidate's commercial, news about the candidates, or articles on the candidate's policies through social media. Unlike traditional news sources like newspapers, radios, and magazines, more voters were able to get informed about candidates' perspectives and problems because of the availability of information online, which let them create their own opinions about the candidates and cast votes based on those ideas, which eventually changed the outcome of the election.
I do believe that the flood of misinformation is a threat to democracy. But I also think the threat is also the ethic now that you can believe whatever you want. And it's not just social media, and it's certainly not just Russian interference when you have politicians up to the president taking advantage of this. But it's also a business model with, I'll use an example, Fox News, where they basically do monetize a type of journalism that is largely, obviously, from my perspective, pretty fact-free.
The majority of candidates use numerous social media profiles across different networks including Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Depending on the platform's design, candidates would employ a range of strategies to undermine the rival and win support. Users might then share, like, or comment on these acts, expanding the reach of the candidates. Following the election, Facebook and Cambridge Analytica launched an investigation into the collection and use of user data on social media for political advertising. The results of a separate investigation into Russian election meddling revealed that the country's intelligence services created phony social media profiles and purchased advertisements on many social media platforms in an effort to sway the vote in Donald Trump's favor.
How do news outlets impact public opinion and public perception? And have you ever noticed the media affecting your opinions?
So I'd say my answer to that is they definitely impact public opinion because they choose what to focus on, right? So, for example, why is the conflict in Ukraine a much bigger deal than a conflict somewhere else? And there are many conflicts going on. Ukraine is on, and I understand that there's also reasons for that too, because the Ukraine-Russia issue is something that's affecting people on a more larger scale in certain things, but there are other conflicts that are also affecting many people. So what you choose to focus on, what perspective you give, definitely it affects how we see the world. It affects what we consider important rather culturally here in the United States, especially. So also what perspective we should have on an issue, what perspective gets more airtime. In other words, whose opinion is broadcast more.